Isa
and Julie,
and today we are filming a video on how to prepare for your first horse.
This video has been so highly requested and we thought it would be really helpful. We're also going to do a follow-up video on like things you need for your first horse. The focus of this video is how to know you're ready to buy a horse and like where to look.
And also this video can help you try to find exactly what you need and like what you're going to be looking for when you're trying out horses.
So
let's get started!
So first is like talking to your trainer and parents to make sure you're ready to buy a horse. I've seen a lot of comments that have been like, how do you convince your parents to let you buy a horse? And I think like sometimes you can convince them, but also they might have a reason why they don't want to buy a horse. But one way is like if you were to really show your passion by like agreeing to lease a horse before buying one, or like going to the barn more often, or possibly working at the barn, like that could really show that you are serious about it.
So the next one is just to make sure that you are ready like mentally, physically, and financially. I would say the financial part has to do a lot with like convincing your parents. You have to make sure that, I mean, it's a big commitment. You can't really like take it back once you get all the way into like horses. So just make sure that you're ready and that you like, you know, you don't want to like, buy a horse with like your arm's broken. So like just make sure you're all healthy.
Yeah.
And just like ready for the responsibility of like making sure you have to take care of your horse and like all this stuff that comes with it.
Like buying a horse is way different from leasing or taking lessons because you're responsible for everything. I mean, like, yes, like your trainer does help and like people at the barn. Mentally, it is way more of a commitment and a responsibility. So I think it's just like you need to make sure you're ready for that.
So next we're going to talk about how to decide on like the specifications of your horse. So the first thing is like age. So the prime age I would say is around like 10 to 12 years old. That's like the prime age of like we're like, you know, like if for us it'd be like we're in our 20s. So if you get an older horse, they're probably going to be less expensive, probably calmer and more experienced. You might not get the athleticism that you can get from a younger horse, but at the same time, a younger horse is going to be less trained, maybe more expensive if they're like a prospect, and like might be a little hotter.
And also with like a young horse, you have more resale value, whereas with an older horse, you might not have any resale value and might even have to end up retiring the horse and owning it for the rest of its life.
Next with height. So this is honestly just like based on your height and like what you're comfortable with. I would say like an average height is like a 16-hand horse. So I mean if you're like really short, like you might not be very comfortable on the horse, but maybe you are. So it's just like depending on that. And especially when you try them out, you'll like know that if you look like ridiculously big or small on them.
So next, it's important to decide on what discipline you want to do. Like sometimes you can find a horse that can do like all three disciplines. I'm talking about like jumping, like equitation, hunters, and not dressage. I'm talking about jumping disciplines like equitations, hunters, and the jumpers. Decide if you want to do eventing or dressage.
Yeah, like Western.
But like inside of jumping, there's different disciplines, and a lot of times you could be able to find a jumper for less than a hunter, just because hunters are judged on how they look. And also like with equitation, it's more typical to have like a horse with a flatter jump so you can have a more consistent position, whereas with hunters you want them to have like a really round jump. And so like it just depends on what you want to do, and you need to kind of specify your
like the breed of your horse too.
Next is price, and like the price can really depend on like the other three categories. And also you need to set a budget. So like you can expect that a hunter will be more expensive than a jumper. You can find like super expensive imported jumpers, but it's just more typical for hunters and equitation horses to be more expensive than jumpers. Also, you want to make sure like you're not getting ripped off, or that you don't have unrealistic expectations, because if you are looking to do like rated if you are looking to do rated shows and like do well in the hunters, you're not gonna find a horse for $10,000. But like it's completely fine to have that be your budget, but like you don't want to like expect certain things from that horse and not get what you're expecting out of it.
Right. So for where to find horses, obviously you can ask your trainer and like they'll probably know the area and like who's selling horses. But other places you can look are BigEck.com, DreamHorse.com, and just like different Facebook groups.
I personally love Big Eck. I think the website is set up beautifully, and they have so many nice horses on there for so many different prices. Dream Horse I find is just a little bit more unorganized. You can still find
a little outdated
things.
kind of, like
yeah,
their software.
Big Eck is just like Hunter's Equitation and Jumpers. So next would be to try the horse out, and this is like the most important part because you need to make sure like the horse works with you and that you like it and that there's like nothing severely wrong with it. Would never ever just buy one and like not have a trial. When you're trying them, it's important to try like all aspects, like obviously walk, trot, canter. If you're doing the equitation, you want to make sure you have a horse that has a really nice sitting trot, and like jump if you want to jump, if that's like what you're looking for. Do like trot jumps and lead changes if it has lead changes, and like counter canter if you need a horse with counter canter. Like just try all the aspects and make sure it can do what you want.
And then also another thing when you try out a horse is I would suggest like grooming them and like getting them from the pasture yourself, because then you can figure out their ground manners and stuff like that, because that's also like a really important aspect. I want to like let you guys know that some people, when you try out horses, they like will drug them because then they're way more calm
and then they're like way more perfect.
Yeah, so just, I don't know, just keep that in mind that that is a possibility and it is pretty common for that to happen.
Some trainers in barns will let you do this, and if they will, I would totally take advantage. Take the horse on trial, which can be from like 3 days to like 2 weeks. If you don't know what it is, it's just where like you bring the horse to your own barn and like it's yours for that amount of time, and at the end of it you either decide if you want to keep it or if you're gonna like take it back. Because like some people do like drug their horses and stuff like that, but it's obviously not going to be drugged at your barn, so you can find out what its personality is like, find out how it is around the other horses at your barn. Next is to get a vet check done, and I think this is absolutely crucial to find out if there are any like old issues the horse has had or something that could really cause a lot of problems in the future. You could either like have this done after you try them with a vet from the area where you're trying the horse, or if you bring the horse on trial, have your own vet do it at your own barn. Personally, if you can take them on trial and have your own vet look at the horse, that is like such a great option, because you know that vet knows your trainer, that vet knows like your environment. That vet might be more biased because they know the trainer and they want the horse to sell. Right. So I would look for recommendations for good vets in that area. If you're buying like a horse that is like 11 or older, it could have issues with the hocks. I'm not saying buy a lame horse, but it might have something you need to maintain, and like that shouldn't be like a like off-putting thing like right at first. I mean, yes, if the horse is like dead lame, don't get it. But like if it has something that is maintainable and it's not a super young horse, that is to be expected.
So when you buy a horse, it's typical to try to negotiate the price, and it's highly recommended because typically they're selling the horse at like the highest price possible so they can get the most money out of them. But if you can negotiate with them, it's really helpful. And like obviously as like a teenager, I would never negotiate. Like have like your trainer do it, or like your parent that's paying for it, because like I personally would be like scared.
Last but certainly not least, it is really important that you just do what is best for you. Like you might go try a horse that is a perfect horse and your trainer might love it so much, but there just might be something that you don't feel is right and that you don't feel clicks with you and that horse, and don't be afraid to like speak up about it.
It might sound like cheesy, but you honestly, when you try out a horse, you will feel a connection if you truly love the horse. Like I know when I tried out Zara, like I could not stop talking about her. Like I was just like, this is amazing, like this is just the best thing ever. And like you want to feel that way. I mean, it's just like a really big commitment. Kind of like, I don't know, you're picking out a boyfriend, you're gonna pick a boyfriend that you kind of like. You know what I mean? If it's gonna be serious, you need to make sure that like you love the horse so much.
You need to go with what is right for you and what your gut tells you to do.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the video and thought it was very helpful.
Stay tuned for like the second part to this video. Thank you always for the subscribers,
yes,
for the love, for everything. We owe it all to you little people. We will talk to you guys later. Bye.